Okay, hi there. Thank you for tuning in and being here today. If you didn't already know, I'm Sam, sci-fi author, up and coming, all that stuff. And I'm here with fellow author Sarah Ashwood to talk about reading, writing, publishing, and more. Hello, Sarah.
Hi.
Sarah has written several fantasy novels, including the Stones of Fire series and the Sunset Land series, but I will let her tell you more about those in a minute, tell us all more about those in a minute. I'm very grateful that Sarah has graciously agreed to be with us today and answer some of our questions. So I do have some questions prepared for you, and I'm sure it'll be a good talk about all those things that we find interesting, reading, writing, fandom, publishing. I know a lot of us are on that journey, and you've done at least some of that, or a good bit of it already, it sounds like. So we'll have your input there. But if you're watching this today, if you're a fan or reader, an aspiring author or whatever, post your questions in the chat too. Let's make an interactive discussion. Anything about reading, writing, publishing, fantasy, fandom, or just anything for Sarah, you can ask her and we'll figure it out in the comments, and we'll have a good talk from here. So, okay, I'm talking enough. I want to, it's not about me today. Sarah, can you give us a quick overview of the major works you've written and published? I know you have multiple books and multiple series. Can you tell us in general, like, what they are about, that kind of thing, for a few minutes?
Yeah, sure. So my first fantasy series is a portal fantasy called The Sunset Lands Beyond. There's 3 books. It's a trilogy. I think I said that. It's about a young woman from Earth that meets a mysterious stranger. He tells her, basically, you are the prophesied savior of another world, a parallel world, Arisia. And she is a chosen one, but she's a very reluctant chosen one because this is far outside the scope of anything she's ever heard of or dreamed of. But
aren't we all sometimes?
Yeah. But she's taken to Arisia, and it takes her 3 books to figure out her magic and her powers and to accept the idea that she really is a prophesied savior and to defeat the powers that are threatening Arisia. So that was my first published work. And then I did, I'm starting a follow-up series to that. There's 1 book out, and the follow-up series it has side characters from the original trilogy, and they become main characters in this follow-up series. Okay. So there's 1 book out with that, and I'm currently writing a second, and there's 2 more planned.
Is that Stones of Fire, or is that something different?
No, that's Arisia. Stones of Fire is my urban fantasy series. It's not tied to Arisia. It is set in the Fort Worth, Texas area.
That's right, you told me that. Which I live about 30 minutes from there. So yeah, I'll check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned there's a few spots in Fort Worth that I mentioned that I had scenes take place, like the Fort Worth Botanic Gardens that I visited with my sister who lives in the area.
Very cool.
So it was fun to set a series and ground it in a place where I've actually been.
Yeah, real life research. I mean, there's lots of scenes in Fort Worth.
Yeah. I actually had my brother-in-law drive me over there when I was writing the series to look at take pictures outside the gate so I could kind of set the scene there with looking at these pictures and try to get it right. So
awesome.
So that's an urban fantasy series. It's shapeshifters, but they're not your typical like werewolf shifters. I did creatures from mythology from all around the world. There's from Africa, Australia, all over Europe. There's some Native American.
Sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. So yeah, I try to make the shapeshifters a little different and also just showcase bits of mythology from all around the world. That was really fun to do.
Okay. How many books have you written in total? Because at least 3 different series.
In total, I have.
You count?
I have to count it up. There's some that are not published. I think I have 10 published. 2 I'm working on, and then 3 that are with an agent. So it's quite a few.
That's awesome. I'll ask you about publishing a little bit later because I do want to hear about what the route you went for that and things like that. But okay, so yeah, at least what, 5 different books published?
Let's see. 3, 4, 9. There's 10 published right now, and I'm working on another one.
Okay, that's impressive. Yeah, that's some of us are aspiring authors hoping to be published one day, hoping to get there, and so that encourages us that it's possible, and not only possible to do it once or twice, but you have a track record. That's awesome. How did you get interested in fantasy in the first place? Do you have a favorite books or movies or stories that inspired you in particular?
I think it goes back to my love of fairy tales and Disney movies from the time I was really young. I loved Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, Cinderella. I grew up with
Yeah.
those. And then I started reading fairy tales. I would read these massive collections of fairy tales. And I've always been interested in mythology, like Roman mythology, Greek and Roman especially. And then when I was got into my teens, somebody introduced me to the fantasy genre, and I immediately just fell in love because there's elements of mythology and fairy tale, and all of those things are just kind of interwoven with fantasy. And I really just found my niche when I found fantasy. So that's kind of where it started.
What were like book wise? What were some of the first ones that you fell in love with or enjoyed?
The very first like epic fantasy I read was Wheel of Time.
Okay.
Eye of the World. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually never finished the series. I got bogged down about book 5 or 6, but I loved the first few, and that's where it branched from.
I'm just recently getting into it. I have friends who are really into it. My brother's really into it. I've read the first 2 now. I'm interested enough to keep going, but I have heard people say it gets slower in the middle. So I'm reading slowly these days. I don't know if I'll ever finish, but I'm interested in it, and I watch the show. So
the first 2 were great. It was just, I think about book 5 where there were so many characters introduced and stuff. I think I just went on to a different series.
Sure.
But that was the epic fantasy.
Yeah, but it got you into that world and got you
did.
those tropes and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. What are you reading these days? Anything, or do you have time to read these days?
I have 4 kids. I don't have near as much time to read.
Yeah,
I do.
One.
Yeah, it's hard. I listen to audiobooks, like while I'm driving or cleaning the kitchen. I'm listening to the Green Princess trilogy by H.L. Burke. It's kind of romantic fantasy. And I read, when I read, it's mostly like ARC reads for other authors. I'm reading one called The Empire's Lion right now by Nathan Tudor, I believe. And it's really cool because it's, the world is very heavily grounded on ancient Rome, which I love ancient Roman history. Okay. So it's a fantasy series that's very heavily based on that. So it's really fun. It's a good book.
Good deal. Okay. I was going to ask you this, but we kind of mentioned it. As a busy mom, you have 4, I know, right? What age is this? The age range?
They range from 2 to 10.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
We have an 18-month-old. We have 1 in the house, and it's busy enough. I'm not sure if we'll get to 4, but how do you find time to write as a busy mom? I'm sure is the answer, or the question on everyone's minds. I mean, how do you balance that?
Usually during the toddler's nap time. The 3 older ones are old enough they can, play Xbox or watch their phones or tablets and entertain themselves. But I really have to get my writing done while the toddler's asleep.
Yeah, but you've been at this for a while. I mean, I guess I don't know how long, but if you have 10 novels out, then I don't know when you started, but when some of them were also young.
Yeah, I actually started when I was 18, and I'm 36 now, so I've been at it a while. I wrote the first.
That's half your life. It's awesome.
It is. Yeah, I wrote the first few books before I was ever married or had kids. But I've kept going on a little slower now, slower pace, but
understandable. But you're sticking to it, and definitely, persevering, and I love how I mean it is your passion. It sounds like, but it's not just a hobby. You're actually making strides with it, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm trying.
Yeah. I mean 10 books, it's a lot more than I've done or some of us have done, so it sounds like you're sticking with it. I guess we're touching this already with some of the books I asked you about, but I was going to ask, what are the biggest influences on your writing? So not necessarily ones that are your favorite, although that's possible too, but are there any that have specifically influenced you that you know of, either books or just other movies or anything, or stories or anything in your life that
Well, I mentioned fairy tales. They have a pretty big influence. And
Yeah.
then another author, her name is Juliet. I think it's Marlillier. I've never been exactly sure how to pronounce her name. She wrote Daughter of the Forest,
Okay.
and it was a fairy tale fantasy. She took the fairy tale of the seven swans and she wrote a whole novel off it.
Wow.
And that was one of the first times I had seen a fairy tale turned into sort of an epic fantasy novel, and that had a big influence on me. I
Okay.
really liked that. And I intend to incorporate a lot of fairy tale themes and even creatures into my
I
books.
was gonna say, is it more like, I guess, tropes, like settings and magical elements, or is it like stylistic things like writing style things you're trying to emulate, or maybe a bit of both?
Probably a bit of both. I mean, there's my book Knight's Rebirth. It's a standalone. It's not in a series. I hadn't mentioned it yet, but it's a
Okay.
kind of a fairy tale fantasy. It has the classic knight going on a quest to save a princess that's cursed by a dragon, but I wove a lot of other stuff into it to just turn it into a kind of a fun. It's a humorous story, but um, that's probably the closest I've done to just a classic fairy tale. But
Okay.
for instance, like my Aresia books are epic fantasy, but I
Yeah.
have a lot of fairy tale creatures in there, like actual fairies and things like that, which you don't see as often in epic fantasy.
It's
So
true. Yeah. Not too many fairies in Lord of the Rings. I mean, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's cool that you mix those elements. I mean, I know fantasy is a wide genre now, but there's a lot in it. But you're. I mean, none of us. They say there's nothing new under the sun, but we're reinventing things in different and combining them in
right,
different ways.
yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, I see you have a couple people watching online, which is great. Remember, post your questions, comments in the chat. I mean, I have questions, but we want to hear from you too. So ask questions, please. Um, I was want to talk to you about the craft of writing, which is something we all deal with and struggle with. Maybe you can tell us something or two about that. What are your biggest struggles, do you think? I mean, other than finding time, which is always a struggle for everyone, but like with the actual craft of writing or editing, what's the hardest part for you? What have you struggled with, or maybe you learned or overcome over time?
I probably plotting. I'm very bad in real life and in writing and just figuring things out as I go along. I'm a real pantser.
Okay, I was going to ask, are you, yeah, fly by the seat of your pants? Yeah, I'm the
I'm a,
opposite. I'm a planner, but you just kind of you don't know where it's going in advance.
no, I see snippets and I have a broad general idea, and then all the details get filled out as I'm working. So like actual plotting, I'm not very good at. And sometimes it shows. Like my beta readers will pick things out and say, this doesn't really jive with this, that kind of thing. So
Do you even?
thank you to them.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Have like worked on that over time, or is it still a tendency, I guess, that you have?
I think it's just it's a personality trait. That's really how I live my life. Pretty much is just figuring it out on the fly.
With 4 kids, I'm like sometimes you can't do much more, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know what the other struggles would necessarily be. Probably more editing wise. When I write, I almost do like a stream of consciousness thing. I do not go back and
Mhm.
correct typos. I just write it all down as it comes to me, and then
Are
I
you
go
writing in
back and
first person,
edit.
or just like stream of consciousness out of your head?
No, it's out of my head. Some of it's first person, but
Okay.
what I mean by that is like I don't go back and fix typos or anything like that while I'm writing. I just write till I run out of time or am done for the day, and then I try to go back and correct. But that
Which I
leaves,
think is good in some ways.
yeah. Well, I found it just kills my creativity if I keep stopping to fix things while I'm doing it. So
Turn off your
yeah,
inner editor. Yeah, that can be a hard balance for some. I mean, it's there's the side of you know you have to turn on your creative side and believe you can do it to turn it out there, and then you have to critique yourself next time. Two
yeah,
different sides,
exactly.
two very different sides of your brain. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is. It is very different sides of your brain
yeah.
for
Okay.
sure.
Okay. I know that's a struggle for a lot of us to, perfectionists to just get something on the page and move on, at least for the time being, even if it's not polished or whatever.
Yeah.
And what do you think is your biggest strength in writing, or what's one thing that your stories do really, really well?
Um, Well, I guess entertain people. That's my main
That's the
hope,
objective, yeah.
is to entertain people and just give them a little escape from the problems of life. Let fictional characters have their problems, and
Mhm.
just get invested in that for a while.
Good deal. Do you think you focus more on like on character development or world building? I know some people are like really intense on world building, and that's like not my strength. And then some people are really focused on like character building and dialogue and like just really complex plots. I know you said you didn't think of the plots in advance, so I'm like, is there one area that comes easiest to you, or that you think is your strength, or one that doesn't so much?
I think character building, because when I start a book, I always know who the two main characters are, and
Yeah.
I always have a romantic subplot. So my two main characters are always the male and female
I mean, you have
main
to, right?
characters. Yeah. So I always start with them and where their relationship is, and then I pretty kind of build the world and the plot around them and what they're doing to it. So I'm really
Okay,
more character driven than
that's
world
good.
building.
Yeah. Okay. But still, for fantasy, you gotta have some world building. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you have to establish the rules of the universe and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I guess how the magic works and things like that. I mean, I assume there's some magic.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My problem is trying to weave it all in without info dumping. That's a kind of a hard one.
Also a struggle. Also a struggle for many. Yeah. Yeah. That- that's maybe that's part of why I'm not such a big world builder, is I couldn't figure out a way to do it organically. But I don't know. Um, yeah.
Some authors
Who's?
are really good at it.
Oh
It's
yeah, there
that's
are.
the one that's a little harder for
I'd
me.
like to maybe in the future do a video about that, because my wife is very much a world builder and I am very much not. So I mean we both enjoy writing, but we do different sides of it, so she can
Right.
and vice versa. Maybe having different perspectives there would be cool. But
That's
yeah.
awesome that you have that help though, and that somebody to bounce the stuff off
Oh
of.
yeah, yeah. I mean we've gone to our writers group in person and well, it used to be in person. We've been meeting on Zoom lately, but um and you know I read a section and she can tell me where it's lacking. Sometimes more thorough and more deep than I would even think, and I'm like, oh, like, I have to fix all that, but she has good input. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's really helpful.
mhm, yeah. Helpful to have other people in your corner for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You said characters are your strengths. Who is your favorite character, or maybe favorite couple, if you have, since they're all couples? But like, can you tell us about one or two of them?
Um, there's Hannah and Ilgard from the first Aresia trilogy. Hannah's the girl from Earth that gets told she's the prophesied savior.
Right.
Ilgard is in Aresia, and he's an immortal warrior lord from a kind of a feared outcast warrior clan. So they're thrown together and have a lot to figure out. In my urban fantasy series, the one that's set in Texas, there's Ellie, who is a nurse, and she gets dropped into a world of warring shapeshifters, and she has to team up with Carter, who is a pretty high up in the one shapeshifter mob organization. So they have to figure out how to work together to stay
Mhm.
alive. I'm very big on taking two characters who are polar opposites and throwing them together and making them figure out how to work together.
That makes a good story a lot of times. I mean, from different worlds sometimes, and definitely, I mean, I assume different personalities and such. And
Very
yeah,
different. Yeah.
yeah, that makes an interesting story for sure. Yeah, I did that kind of unintentionally with my first book. I wasn't planning at first to have these two characters fall in love, but I was like, hey, they're both kind of floating around, not doing anything, and hey, it makes sense. I mean, even though they're very different. So yeah, funny how that
Well,
works.
that's kind of how my husband and I are, though. Like, I'm from Oklahoma, I'm a redneck. He's from Washington, and he's a
Washington
redneck, but in a
State?
different way.
Okay,
And we met, and we're pretty opposite in many ways, but we get along really well. The opposites attracting
that's
works
awesome.
for
That's
us.
that's what they say. Yeah, yeah. Praise the Lord. That's cool. So it's fun to channel some of that into your stories too, and make it happen, and then you can ship your characters and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What's a writing tip you could offer us that from all of your success so far that most people overlook or don't know?
The biggest tip I usually give people that have never published before is make sure you have beta readers. I did not have beta readers when I published my first book, and it showed.
Okay.
It showed in the reviews, and the reviews were right. I went back and heavily altered my first book after the reviews came
Which
in.
one was your first one?
It was the Aresia books,
Yeah.
the Sunset Lands Beyond. If I had had beta readers, there are so many things they probably would have caught for me, you know?
Mhm.
So after that experience, I learned about beta readers and the
Yeah.
importance of them, and they are just invaluable. They will
Oh,
catch
yeah.
so many things that you as the author overlooked.
It's not even just like grammar typos. I mean, that could be important, but it's like, you know, does the scene make sense? Does this dialogue work? You know, does it sound natural? That kind
Yeah,
of,
exactly.
yeah. That's that kind of thing is very helpful. I've gotten to the point maybe too many beta readers. I've had a lot of people looking at it and giving feedback, and I'm like, I just need to get it done. But no, it's probably too many is better than none. So,
You can have too many. I just tend to focus on if they're all catching the same thing, that's a problem. But if it's just a matter of personal taste, then I have to weigh an opinion versus my vision as the author, you know. And you just kind of have to figure out that balance. But yeah, there were a lot of things in my first books that if I'd had beta readers, they definitely would have caught, because the reviewers were all catching them. So
how many beta readers do you think is good then? 3 or 4, 2 or 3?
I have a pretty strong core of about 5 or 6.
Okay.
You know, something like that.
Yeah, good. Okay. And you have the same group of people do it for each book now, or?
I've had the same group for the past several years.
Okay.
The past 4 or 5 years, yeah.
Yeah, we have a writers group. Again, we're mostly on Zoom now, but still, I mean, some of us followed your stories for a long time, and if we ever got published, I'm sure, you know, people would help us out. So it's nice to have a consistency in that kind of community.
It is. It's a great resource.
I wanted to ask you about your publishing, since we kind of segued into that. And again, yeah, post your questions in the comments and also ask them. But because this is the part I want to hear about now, because I need to, because I'm still working on it too, or moving in the direction. But like, so you mentioned earlier, agent. So I want to do that. Did you do self-published or traditional, or a combination of both now? How did you initially publish, I guess?
I started out wanting to go traditional because this was back when I was 18 years ago, you know, ebooks were either not a thing or very much in their infancy.
Yeah.
So I started out trying to go traditional. I landed a very top-notch New York agent in 2009, but she couldn't sell my book, so I got dropped. That was kind of sad. That broke me for a while, I'm not gonna lie. But by that time, self-publishing was going indie, was getting pretty popular. So a few years later, I went ahead and went indie with some of my books, but I still have not given up my dream of being traditionally published either. So I went back into querying some of my manuscripts, and I have another agent now. She's from a newer, smaller firm, but it's growing. It's doing really well.
Okay.
So she has 3 of my manuscripts, and then because traditional publishing is such a slow process, I was like, why not keep building my career? So I have kept on writing and being independent, being an indie author, excuse me.
Cool.
So I'm looking to go hybrid. Yeah.
Okay. So up to this point, everything is self-published or independent?
I have a book of poetry that was published by a small publisher in 2009. That was actually the first book I had published.
Okay.
So it was a small publisher,
Yeah,
but other than that,
that counts. Yeah. No, I feel what you're saying, because I also I'm looking to get published. I talked to an agent. I talked to a couple agents last year. My dream would be traditional publishing, because that's you know, I mean, you know, everyone dreams of like getting, you know, nationally famous. I mean, I don't know if that's gonna happen, but getting it out there and stuff like that. But I understand it's a hard gig, and it's, you know, it's doesn't always happen the first try or the first 5 tries or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm you know, I'm open to self-publishing too, which is why I'm kind of trying to build an audience now. Yeah, but yeah, I like how you mentioned you're not giving up on your dream. That's good. You're still trying. Like would you like republish some of the ones you've put out already as like under another publisher maybe, or how would that work?
I guess it just depends on if I can get a publisher and if they would be interested.
Yeah.
It just depends. Like one of the manuscripts my agent has is a young adult fantasy. So if I can land a publisher for that, who might be interested in my other fantasy stuff, I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
So I would love to be traditionally published, but
Okay.
it is a slow process. So it's good to keep busy, and it just keeps me
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah. Keep putting out your content, keep putting out your stuff. I mean, regardless of what happens, and that's what they say. I've been listening to like marketing people and authors and creators, and I'm not even like on their path to success, and I haven't even hit my success yet or whatever, but so I'm just a novice in this, but they all say things like keep putting out your stuff regardless, and you'll have some success over time at least.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You will build an audience.
Yeah. How have you built an audience, or like I was gonna ask about that, like how have you had to do like self-promotion or engage in the audience? I mean, I know with self-publishing you do a lot of that. Have you had to like build a following and stuff like that on your own?
Yeah, marketing is by far the hardest part to me. Trying to learn like reputable places for book promotions, trying to learn Amazon ads. I haven't even tackled Facebook ads. Those things are hard and they're very technical. I really enjoy interacting with readers over Facebook, over Instagram. I actually recently just got on TikTok. I never dreamed I would do it. That's not been my platform, but
No,
there is a massive reader community on there. I had no idea.
I'm also just starting to dip my toes into that and trying to get on there. So
well, it's been fun. It's another learning curve, but
sure.
It's really fun, and I really enjoy interacting with people on social media. I do not really enjoy like Amazon ads. That's very technical, but it's something you have to do. But it's not enjoyable.
The relational side of things is rewarding for an author. I hope it should be.
Yeah, it is. It's fun. And as my social media platforms have grown and I interact with more people, like that's the best part of it all, really.
Yeah. Do you have like fans, like are you to the point where you have fans who you don't know, come to you and be like, I've read your book and things like that? And
I get it some, yeah. I've even had some people reach out with fan art. People send me some
awesome.
fan art a few times. It was such a cool experience. It was
that's so cool.
It really made my day. It made my day. It was awesome. I appreciate each and every person that reaches out to me and is like, I read your books, I enjoyed them. That's what keeps me going when it's stressful and when I think it would be easier to quit. Maybe I should wait till my kids are older, but I enjoy the creativity and I really enjoy knowing that people like my books.
You're making connections and you're making a difference to somebody out there.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole hope behind it all. Yeah,
isn't that the dream? Yeah,
it's the dream. Yeah,
that's awesome. And I mean you're still going, and I mean you have obviously like years ahead of you. It's not you're I mean you're not done yet, but I mean you're just stepping out of some of these things, but you already have some of those experiences happening for you. So probably good things are in the future.
I hope so. If I ever write all the books that I've got planned, it'll take me years. I've got lots of ideas.
We have time, don't we? Yeah. So I wanted to ask you if it's okay, like how like are you able to make a living off of your sales, or like a part-time living, or I mean I assume your husband works and I mean you have 4 kids, so I mean so I guess you're pretty busy already, but like how does that work out for you?
It's a nice side income. I do not make I can't make a living wage, not yet, but it's going up all the time.
That's also the dream. Yeah. One day.
Yeah, and it's a very nice side income right now. So
Good. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't sure. You know, I never know where each author is at. So yeah, you know, we have this dream of like being published, like is the goal, and like, and that is for many people, but like my dad has published 2 novels and he's still a college professor. Like being published doesn't mean you're financially set for life either. But but
oh yeah.
uh,
Well,
um,
I also homeschool my kids, so even if I get rich, somebody's still got to teach the kids.
that's true. That's true. Okay. Okay. Well, it sounds like you're doing a lot of the right things and just able to find that balance. And I'm glad it's working out for you.
Yeah,
Um,
it's an adventure.
mhm. Where so you mentioned Amazon, and like where are your books available? Do you have any in? I guess there's some publics that may not be in like physical bookstores as much. They're mostly on Amazon and online and such.
Yeah, right now, all of my books are in Kindle Unlimited, KU. So everything is on Amazon. I'm actually going to go wide with about half of my books starting next month. So I'll be distributing through, Barnes and Noble,
Okay.
Kobo, Smashwords, and all that. Um, there's a big debate in the indie community of KU versus going wide. And I've been in KU for a long time, and I'm gonna try going wide and just see what happens.
Okay. Uh,
Um,
do you have them in like hard copy, or is it just on Kindle, or can people order them
no,
like print
they're
books?
available ebook, paperback, hardback, and I have audiobooks too. And that's another new platform that's really burgeoning right now.
Yeah.
Um,
You do the audio, or do you get someone else to do it?
no, I hire narrators.
Okay.
I'm not that good at reading out loud.
Yeah, me neither. I've done my own work on a very amateur level, but yeah, I wouldn't do it for really seriously. Yeah, but that's cool that you can do that. You're both, I guess, connected enough and financially able to do that. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
That's
the
awesome.
audiobook market is kind of crazy to me because you
It
can't like
is.
buy promotions for audiobooks like you can your ebooks, and yet readers find you. And I think it's just
Okay.
because they're growing in popularity, but the market is not as saturated.
They really
So
are.
my audiobooks have done really well, honestly, more than I expected. So I have
Okay.
3 out right now, and another one should be published next month, and then 2
Oh,
more upcoming. So 3 out and 3 upcoming.
okay. Are those on Amazon or Audible?
They're on Audible right now. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Which ones do you have in audio, just so people can find it?
The first 2 books of my Sons of Fire, that's the urban fantasy series, they are available. And the narrator's working on book 3. And then Knight's Rebirth, the fairy tale fantasy, it just came out. And then I have narrators who are working on the first book of the Aresia series and the first book of the follow-up Aresia series. So those
Okay.
will be out pretty soon.
Wow. Okay. So you're keeping busy, and you got a lot of stuff out in all the places. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. No, I've been trying to do that with just different social media platforms, but I don't really have a product yet because I'm still trying to publish my first one. So you're doing it. It sounds like.
It's been a long process and a
Sure.
huge learning
Half
curve.
your life. And you're still learning it, but that's
Oh yeah.
they say it's again it's the long game. It's with rare exceptions, success doesn't happen overnight. It's
Right, exactly.
you
I
know
mean, we'd all like to be that rare exception, but
yeah, yeah,
for the rest of us, for like me, it's a learning process, and I'm just hoping to keep going up from here. So,
yeah. That's great. But you're doing it and pursuing your dream and making it work. That's encouraging to many, I'm sure.
well, I feel like if I can do it, anyone can do it because I don't have any special skills. Just I think a lot of stubborn determination
That's far
and
right.
a husband that is extremely supportive. I have to say, he is extremely supportive,
It's
and
helpful.
my family
Hmm.
as well. Like my sister is my #1 beta reader, and
Okay.
she's not just like this is a good book. She'll give me honest feedback. My
Yeah.
dad is in his 80s, and
Wow.
he is a very proficient reader, and he sits there and reads all my books, gives me feedback, and edits them. And I kid you not, the man has caught typos my professional proofreader missed. Like, so I've got a very supportive family as well,
It's awesome. Yeah, you do
that
that.
means a lot.
And you do at least have the skill of telling a good story that people like, apparently.
Well, I hope so. I've gotten some really nice reviews. I've gotten a few that were not as nice and a few that were, critical, but that's
Happens to
the
everyone.
thing. And nobody's story is going to be for everyone.
That's
So
right.
I know a few people that don't like Lord of the Rings, which blows my mind,
I
but
mean,
they're out there.
yeah, I mean, they're allowed to be wrong, but no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
No, we have, I mean, everyone, this is a whole other topic, but I mean, one of the things I've started to learn also is you gotta find your niche, or you gotta find your audience. And I mean, not everyone's gonna reach every audience. Nobody
Yeah,
can. I mean,
that's true.
we write sci-fi and fantasy. There's a wide audience for that right now. It's still not everyone's thing, which is okay. But you reach the people you can reach, and if you find your audience, then you'll have at least a good bit of success, probably. Yeah, like you'll at least be able to put things out that your audience likes, and then they'll start following you consistently and things like that. Is what the marketing experts say, at least. So.
Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm almost running out of questions. So anyone else watching, yeah, post questions, comments, just accolades for Sarah in the comments. But I wanted to ask you also, what you mentioned you're working on something now, right? A new recurrent project.
My current work in progress is the second book in the follow-up series to my Aresia trilogy. Okay. When I finished that first trilogy, I actually had a number of readers contact me and ask, well, is there going to be anything else? And I hadn't planned on it, but I liked quite a few of my side characters, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to make a new series with featuring these side characters. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Like a spin-off series, kind of.
What?
A spin-off series, kind of.
Yes, exactly. It's a spin-off series. Yeah. And I'm working on the second book in that spin-off series. Yeah.
Okay. Do you write just one book at a time usually?
Or sometimes, or sometimes I write two.
I was gonna say you have your hands in multiple projects at once. I don't know how prolific people do that.
Well, I'm pretty bad. Like I'll be reading 2 or 3 different books at the same time, and so I guess my brain is able to split its focus. I can write 2 books at the same time. I've done that. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And then I mean, I'm trying to do the math. Do you think, are you publishing like every 2 years, roughly, maybe, or finishing one every 2 years, or 1 year and a half, maybe?
It's about 1.5 years to 2 years. The only exception was my Stones of Fire series. I did rapid release it, but I wrote all 4 books and then released them within 4 to 6 weeks of each other.
Wow.
That was a lot. It was a lot. I did it. I'm not sure I'll ever do it again.
Yeah. I'm like, if you had them all polished at once and could really, I mean, like, I feel like I need to do a lot of background work to get to that point. Yeah.
It was pretty big project, but it has been my most successful series too. So, okay. I don't know, but I'm not trying that at this stage in my life right now. So yeah, it'll be about 1.5 years or so between books, probably right now.
When do you think this new one will come out?
Well, I have it on pre-order for a Christmas of this year release, but I'm really hoping to push that release back to maybe October, get it out a little sooner. We'll just see how things go.
Are you like still drafting, or you're in editing, or like, I don't know how long that takes you?
I'm almost 50,000 words into the manuscript. I think I'm roughly maybe about halfway finished with it.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, I've actually like done, NaNoWriMo, where you write a 50,000 word novel. Yeah. I've done that like 3 times, but right now with 4 kids, it's taken me about 4 months to get to 50,000 words.
Well, I understand. I'm the same. I did it like 3 times when I was in college. I mean, back in college, I thought I was so busy, but I had more time than I realized.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then I tapered off after that. I tried it again like 2 years ago. I was married and working full time. I didn't even have a kid yet, but I still only made like halfway, like the 22,000 or something like that. But so I mean, you're doing it at the pace that works for you in your current rhythm of life.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well. Okay. Well. So Christmas, or possibly even sooner. I mean, I know it sounds like a long way away to some, but I mean, now that when you're grown up and working and planning for the future, it's not actually that long when you think about it.
Oh yeah, yeah. In fact, I'm like, can I actually do this? But I think I can. It's just, it's a little crazy right now. My kids are all in, or my three older boys are in basketball, and we're doing like 3 games a week and practices and all that. But that ends next month, so I should get a little
Okay.
more free time after that.
Okay, good deal. Well, anything you want to say to the people out there, the fans, the readers before we start wrap this up?
A big thank you. You know, none of this would be possible without readers and the people that follow me and stick with me. I appreciate each and every one of them.
Good deal. Where can people follow you online? You mentioned you're on Facebook, you're on TikTok. What are your platforms that you're on?
I'm probably the most active on Facebook, and then TikTok, Instagram, not as
Okay.
much because I'm not very good at taking nice pictures. I do post some reels there.
I,
um,
I have not really gotten into Instagram, but is it like I'm like, can you do it with author stuff? Because it's mostly photos. Like, well, I had the same question about TikTok when I first started. Like how do I make this all book related? But
yeah, well, there's a huge, it's hashtag Bookstagram. There's a huge community, but again, most people that are successful know how to take beautiful book related pictures, and I'm that's not my talent. But I am on there, and I try to post semi regularly. And then I have a newsletter. I only send out once a month, so I try not to overwhelm people, you know, or
yeah,
be spammy. But I have a newsletter that comes out once a month. In fact, I had one that just went out today. And that's it. That is a good way to keep in touch,
sure.
because in my newsletter, I'll post little excerpts, and I'll let you know what's coming up, what's available. I let people know about special sales or discounts I have and that kind of thing.
Very good. Okay. And Facebook, you have an author page as well as your personal account. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. I've got a Sarah Ashwood author Facebook page.
Okay. And on TikTok and Instagram, is it Sarah Ashwood?
TikTok, it's Sarah Ashwood author. Instagram is at runner writer mom. My Instagram kind of combines my love of like fitness and running and writing. It's kind of all it's a little all over
That's
the
good.
place,
That's good.
but
Yeah. Talk about the things you're interested in. Okay.
yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for being here today and answering our questions. This is fun, and I'm actually inspired, well, to write also, but living near Fort Worth, I kind of want to get that Stones of Fire, maybe book one, and see how it is, because that sounds interesting to me. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll pick up a copy later and do a review of it on one of my videos one of these times.
Oh yeah, that would be
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. From a fellow Texan.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Sarah, for being here, for answering our questions, and just for encouraging those of us on the writer journey. And thank all of you for tuning in and listening and just being here today. Like my page, Samuel N. Harris, for future discussions and content for writers, or you can sign up for my mailing list at the Shippermaker link. When you sign up, you get a free sample of Fractured Heroes, my novel, of a few of my favorite scenes that I think you'll enjoy. And go follow Sarah too on TikTok and Facebook. Buy her books on Amazon and support your independent authors. Yeah.
Thank you.
So thanks for being here. Okay. Bye, everyone.